There are no lawns in sight, but the air smells of fresh-cut grass. The houses that line the winding road are all boastful shows of modern architecture, but their beauty is locked behind iron gates. The further along I walk, the more the lamplight starts to flicker.
Just a little further.
Simon's voice booms in the privacy of my skull.
The real estate on top of the hill has more traffic. That's where most of the viruses settle.
I nod, and I keep one foot in front of the other. My internal life has simmered down to nothing but a focus on the march. There's a rattling cough in my lungs, and my right leg aches with every step, but the discomfort is nothing but a gentle background buzz to a single thought. I want out.
Careful,
Simon says.
Looks like we're entering the outskirts. Don't interact with anyone. The more attention you pay to them, the more aggressive they get. Just keep your eyes on the floor. Pretend they're not there.
There's a terminal flicker in the lamppost beyond. Behind the light leans a woman with uncanny features. She is not a cartoon, yet she is undeniably digital. Her black miniskirt and navy tank top wrap around her sexualized proportions like a thin layer of cellophane. "Hey darling," she says, her stilettos clacking towards me. "Looking for a good time? Wanna see me gape?" I avert my eyes and keep moving. When I pass her, she stops. I do not look at her and I keep my eyes to my feet, but I can't help but to catch a whiff of her perfume. Clawed out of the nether regions of memory, I smell the same scent my high school sweetheart once wore. The woman in stilettos laughs the moment the thoughts connect in my head.
Just keep walking. Don't acknowledge. Don't interact.
Booms the voice in my skull. Off in the hills, I hear a coyote howl. Behind me, I hear the steady seductive clip-clop of heels. The lamplight fades away until all that is left is the night sky. For a couple brief moments the stars are visible, but then, little by little, the darkness is eaten away by the slowly rendering glare of neon.
"Hey, you wondering how I got this body? Want me to tell you?"
asks a gruff voice from the dark.
"Women throw themselves at my feet. Men fear me. Doctors want to silence me. Come, I insist. Come learn my secret."
He is giant and hairy and nude. He puffs out his chest and strides in my direction. I keep my eyes on my feet and don't veer off course. The closer we are to a collision, the harder the virtual streetwalker behind me laughs. Yet when the hairy giant steps aside in the last moment of our virtual game of chicken, she goes silent.
By age 31, 2/3 of all men experience some form of male pattern baldness. You want to be a hairless beta cuck, do you?
The giant growls in my ear as he follows me.
Come with me. Come with me and let me tell you all the secrets the deep state liberals don't want you to know.
The moon and stars disappear in a steadily encroaching gradient of bright color. Like low-flying satellites, garish signs of neon seize the night sky with advertisements of pills and free sex and hypnosis techniques. From the buzzing ether of the hill road, more faces emerge. The women offer themselves to me, responding to my silence with theatrical laughter dipped in orgasm. The men scream about pills and secrets and roar with laughter at my supposed shortcomings. None of the bodies around me look human. They all have the proportions of a pubescent masturbatory fantasy. Another set of coyote howls boom from the side of the hill. They are more numerous and darker and ever so gently human.
Jesus Christ, what is that?
Simon's voice whispers in my skull.
Wait, no, don't look. Forget I said anything.
I try to stay focused on my feet, but with another torrent of guttural howls, my discipline breaks. Descending down the road towards me are creatures of myth. Half man, half beast, the beings approach howling and barking. They have the bodies of Olympians but the limbs of dogs. Their eyes are like those of timber wolves, but the streaks of neon reflecting in those wild marbles are undeniably the work of man.
Just stay focused on the road, Matt. Just keep walking. You're almost there.
As the oversexed procession behind me grows, the movement of my legs turns choppy. The processing power of the simulation can barely keep up with the sheer amount of genitals being rendered into existence. Behind me, they scream and moan and howl, and I try to block out their voices and remind myself that I am actually just a broken man standing in the middle of my living room with a VR headset. But that thought feels hollow. I am not a creature of flesh. I am a creature of binary. I am a creature of binary that has been snared in the realm of simulated nightmare. The scent of freshly mowed lawns is gone. The air around me smells like spilt cologne in a gas station bathroom. Through the cacophony of sex and threats, Simon's voice cuts through.
Past that door. All you need to do is get past that door, Matt.
I look up. Scores of nude bodies dance before me, beckoning with promises of unearthly pleasure. Male bodies, female bodies, bodies which defy the duality of gender, they all gyrate and pinch their skin, demanding that they be the one I pick. Beyond the sea of flesh, backlit by a terrible shade of migraine pink, stands the marble doorway of a mansion. I don't need Simon to tell me where to go. The naked mass of humanity stretches its appendages towards me as it demands my attention, yet the flesh never makes any contact with my body. They scream and shriek and beg, but with my head aimed at the floor, the writhing masses step aside and let me pass unmolested. It's not until my hand is on the ornate handle of the mansion door that I spare a look backwards. The simulation can't handle all the flesh. Reality has turned into a slideshow. Writhing with pleasure and lust, the anonymous sea of humanity clicks in and out of existence. One figure, however, remains stable. Her arms and legs are long and her torso is non-existent. The name badge from her dark blue vest has been ripped off, but her dead grin makes her impossible to misidentify. I jump into the mansion and slam the door shut. The world disappears in a curtain of black. No sound nor smell carries through the abyss. The only thing I'm certain of is the firm ground beneath my feet. I feel nauseous.
Matt?
Asks a voice in my head before I start to panic.
You okay, Matt? Can you hear me?
I nod. Somehow, even though we're in pitch darkness, Simon acknowledges my nod.
Good.
He says.
Just keep on walking. We won't have to find the virus. It'll find us.
I don't question my orders. I listen to the voice in my head and keep on walking. There is no echo to my steps, and the memory of the wails outside quickly fade. In my newfound tranquility, I find a little ember of hope. I let myself believe I'll be out of the simulation soon. The faith quickens my steps.
So, that was quite something, huh?
He says, in the spirit of a parent who just sat through a Hollywood sex scene.
Wonder how much of this will get cleaned up by the time that brand new web comes around. Doubt this is the Matrix folks were waiting for.
Yeah, I say. The sound of my own voice startles me. I have spoken so little and screamed so much that I sound more like a frog. The ground stiffens beneath my feet as I start to consider what state my flesh body might be in.
I've been thinking about that movie a lot lately. That pill scene. If I had to choose between living in pre-9/11 vague West and dancing in caves and fighting robots, I was pretty sure I'd just take the blue pill. But the past 4 days of helping you get out the simulation have definitely made me reconsider. You holding up okay, Matt?
4 days, I say, unable to subtract vocalization from the thought. I just want to go home.
We'll get you home. Don't worry.
I hold on to that thought for comfort, but I find myself sweating. The air in the darkness turns humid, and a sweet stench of fresh sweat starts to fill the air. Simon? I ask, my mind slowly picking up the noises coming from the darkness.
Anything happening?
Smacking lips, I say. I hear smacking lips. All around me, off in the darkness, full of spit, there's a symphony of wet flesh. Simon, what do I do? I stop. The darkness beyond morphs and shifts in deep groans of elastic effort.
Ignore it. Just keep moving until the virus approaches you directly.
I can't. The darkness breaks through 2 burning balls of light. The sudden shock steals away my sight, but once the blindness passes, the room around me seeps into my eyes. The walls and ceiling and floor are of wet flesh and chapped lips. Before me, extending from the floor of skin, towers a terrible being. It sits like a cat with veiny human breasts. All across the beast's body, the skin is loose and worn, yet its spherical head is without wrinkle. The toddler-like smoothness is only broken by 2 orbs of light, swallowed up by puckered skin and a small sideways mouth.
Ah, weary traveler, Have you come here in search of hot single moms in your area? Naive co-eds, perhaps horny widows?
The creature's voice is drowned out by the sea of lips. They fortify the whispers coming out of the beast's small mouth to a deafening thunder.
I can promise you a world of cheap sex and love, a place where you will be given the respect you are due. If this paradise you want to see, you must answer my riddles free.
Riddles? I ask, the sex sphinx's words barely connecting to my thoughts.
Shit.
Simon whispers.
Jesus Christ, that's unsettling.
Why are there riddles, Simon? I ask. The beast tilts its head to the side, trying to figure out who I'm speaking to. The skin around the shining orbs tightens into two suspicious spotlights that burn against my chest. What do I do, Simon?
I was really hoping for a simple capture process or some spot the difference puzzle.
Simon says.
But to get the virus, you'll have to answer the riddles. I'll help as much as I can, if I can.
Fine, I say, looking up into the creature's incomprehensible eyes. I will answer your riddles. The beast's sideways mouth opens up into a dripping, toothless smile.
Splendid,
it says, echoed by the other mouths.
If you answer these riddles correctly, great pleasure awaits you. Paradise awaits you. If you answer my riddles wrong, however...
The beast's eyes squeeze into two thin lines of light. Wisps of smoke start to move up my jacket.
Be careful how you answer, traveler.
The sex sphinx finally says, widening its eyes.
A simple wrong guess will be your undoing.
The unmistakable stench of rot follows each word the lips around me speak, and the room has grown unbearably hot, but my will to escape the virtual hellscape reaches past my discomfort. I'm ready, I say.
I'll fill your holes if you ask me to. I sometimes cause pain when I go in. I ask you to spit and not swallow. What am I?
The riddle doesn't stick to memory. All I remember is the word pain and swallow. All around me, the lips start to hungrily smack as if they know I can't answer the riddle. The beams of light from the sphinx's puckered eyes start to heat up again.
I swear I've heard this one before. Ask it to repeat the riddle.
Simon's voice booms in my ear. I don't argue with Simon. I ask the sex sphinx to repeat the riddle. At my request, the creature's strange mouth lifts into another toothless smile.
Listen closely, traveler.
The being says with milky spit sliding down its smooth face.
For a riddle can only be repeated once before it loses its charm. I'll fill your holes if you ask me to. I sometimes cause pain when I go in. I ask you to spit and not swallow. What am I?
Dentist,
says Simon.
The answer is dentist.
I repeat his answer without thought. The lips around me turn still. The beast's eyes relax and ease the heat off my body.
You are correct, traveler,
the sex sphinx says with its mouth dripping.
Perhaps a curious guess, perhaps the answer of a learned man. But will you be able to answer the second of my riddles 3? I get laid in an alley. I often end up in the middle of your splits. When you slip your fingers in me, I'm ready to roll. What am I?
Oh god, my nephew once had a book of these dumb jokes. Splits, alley, this all sounds familiar. Bowling ball?
There's doubt in his voice. I don't like the doubt. Are you sure? I ask, quietly, to not arouse the attention of the monstrosity that stands before me. Yet its spherical head tilts to the side in curiosity just the same. Around me, the symphony of lips start flapping again.
I think so. Bowling ball. Bowling ball sounds right.
Bowling ball, I say, and, once more, the room falls silent.
One answer might come of chance, 2 might come of luck, but the third, dear traveler, the third riddle can only be answered by those deserving of paradise.
The creature rasps with its sideways mouth as it struggles for a deep breath of air.
I come in a lots of different sizes. Sometimes in the winter I drip a little. If you blow me, it feels really good. What am I?
I take the riddle apart in my head, but all that come to mind are phallic answers. I wait for Simon to speak, but he stays silent. Simon? I ask, when the flesh of the room starts to smack once more. What's the answer, Simon? Silence. As the burning eyes of the sex sphinx start to focus down their heat, Simon stays silent until finally, with a long sigh, he replies.
I haven't heard this one, Matt. I'm sorry.
The room of flesh echoes with wet sounds of hunger. The beast's eyes pucker into deadly beams of light.
Do you give up, dear traveler?
The monstrosity takes in another quivering breath with its grotesque maw of flesh. Excited spittle drips from its round face down to its veiny udders.
Has your luck finally run out?
Myself is wholly composed of computer code. I am nothing but a cartoon man standing in a simulation, yet somehow, with my feet planted on soft carpet, I am tied to a being of flesh. An exclusively biological need for survival burns in my chest. Repeat the riddle! I scream, in a voice rendered unrecognizable by fear, rage, and sickness. The monstrosity takes another long wheezing breath. The spittle gathered at the bottom of its mouth makes it look like a rabid animal. With each word that it recites, the toothless maw moves closer to me. The sex sphinx's breath is of long dead roadkill.
I come in a lot of different sizes. Sometimes in the winter I drip a little. If you blow me, it feels really good. What am I?
I close my eyes and latch on to every word of the riddle. Size, drip, blow. I think as hard as I can, trying to imagine what the answer could be. Size, drip, blow. I breathe in that rancid smell and try to make sense of the riddle, but nothing comes. My chest starts to burn. The stench of rot is overtaken by singed fabric. The sex sphinx's spherical head is inches away from me. Its eyes are beams of light trapped in wrinkled flesh. Its maw stretches to the limits of its noseless face. It comes in different sizes. In winter it drips. If you blow it, it feels good. Nose! I scream. Nose, nose, nose! The answer is nose! Like a vacuum extension cord being ripped back to its place, the sex sphinx's neck retreats back into its body. The creature watches me with hot glowing eyes. Its milky lips pull shut.
Nose. You're right.
Simon's voice booms in my skull.
Stretch a riddle, but you're right, Matt. Nose.
Nose. I mumble again, out of blind instinct. The sea of lips has disappeared from view. The light in the sphinx's puckered eyes has gone dim. The beast's face is entirely inhuman, yet in its depths rests an expression of defeat.
Oh, mighty traveler, you have bested me in a game of wits. You have proven your worth and earned your place in paradise.
The beast speaks without its chorus, its voice strained and fragile. With great efforts, it raises one of its wrinkled paws. On the swollen flesh of the indentation, rising after the weight has been lifted, sits a large syringe filled with neon liquid.
Come and claim your boon. Begin your journey to the land of hot single moms in your area.
That's it.
Simon breathes heavy, as if he'd been through the ordeal with me.
That's the virus. Grab it. I'll get you out of there and...
Simon? I ask. A gentle wave of static simmers through my head, and then his voice comes back.
Sorry, lost you there for a second.
He says, easing my heart.
Grab the syringe. Once we have it, there's just one stop left. All we need to do is go back to the office and inject your original avatar. That should collapse the simulations and get you out. We're almost there, Matt.
I approach the Sphinx with the utmost caution and swipe the syringe away as if it was right beneath a guillotine. The beast pays me no mind. It lowers its paws at its own pace.
Do you see a phone booth anywhere?
The eyes of the sphinx go dimmer by the second, yet the neon glow of the syringe's contents keep my surroundings visible. There is no phone booth in sight. I tell Simon.
Alright, well, maybe it spawned outside of the mansion. Let's get you out of here.
The dimension of the mansion no longer seem infinite, yet its interior is still massive. I start to make my way back towards the marble doorframe. Beneath my feet there's an ornate carpet decorated with arrowheads of suggestive symbolism. In my heart, I find space for hope. I hate riddles, I say to Simon.
Me too.
He replies.
When I was a kid, my folks used to take me to visit my great-grandfather. Guy was 102 years old, and it showed. My parents would make me go to church, and then, instead of having Sunday lunch like normal families, they'd take me to the hospice where they kept them. Every time he'd see me, he'd tell me this. Every time, same riddle. I crawl upon the iron. I will not stop crawling until I reach the hole. Be surprised if I ever got it correct. Every time, same.
The voice disappears in a hush of static. On occasion, syllables of speech bounce in my skull, but I don't know what Simon is trying to say. I yell, hoping he's able to hear my pleas for help, but the hushed static gives no indication of comprehension. The snippets of Simon's voice become sparser, and then, finally, even the sharp buzz in my skull dies down. The silence stifles my will to fight, but the neon green of the syringe reminds me there is a way out. Hoping to find a phone booth to eject me from the simulation, I continue making my way towards the doors of the mansion. I try to fill the silence with positive thoughts and hopes for a brighter future, but all my mental efforts are undone in an instant. Screams. From beyond the mansion door, I hear screams. They are not the screams of pleasure or want, they are pure vocalizations of terror.
Quiet!
A terrible falsetto cuts through the howls.
You all screech like lab rats in a skin cream factory. I demand you all cease your screaming at once and calm down. My scientific brain has the vigor of a steam engine, but I will not tolerate senseless noise. You all be quiet and listen to me. Professor Egghead, the world's most industrious researcher.
That creature's terrible voice raises the hairs on the back of my neck, but I still need to find a means of escape. As slowly as I can, I crack open the door and search the outside world for a phone booth. I do not find a means of escape. Instead, my eyes fall upon pure horror. The frantic chorus of the nude and aroused has been dissolved. The digital sirens no longer exist in a breathless sea of flesh. They stand in rows, shivering, naked and scared, with the Egghead's burning-eyed assistants wobbling among their ranks keeping order. The professor himself stands on the mansion steps, addressing his newfound prisoners. I only see the back of his filthy lab coat, but the madness in his voice is enough to make me feel lightheaded.
I have come in search of a man who has witnessed classified information. I have come here to re-establish the equilibrium of scientific knowledge. But what do I find? I find pure degeneracy.
I see no phone booth. I see no way out. I see no chance at escape. I close the door and retreat back into the mansion, but the Egghead's voice cuts through its walls.
If man is to survive the great consolidation, he must cast off the filth of mammalism. We are entering a new age in which sex means nothing, an age in which only science reigns superior. Be rid of your genitals, be rid of the primitive nature of sexual azoids. Sew your orifices shut and cast off your phalluses into the river. It is time for a new age. It is time for the age of egg.
I move away from the door, but the new torrent of screams is far too loud to ignore. With nothing but the syringe to light the darkness, I desperately hobble through the room looking for a familiar shine of the phone booth. I do not find it. Instead, I am met with two dim balls of light.
Traveler?
The sex sphinx says, raising its head.
Have you returned to gloat? Have you returned to laugh at me and my riddles?
No, I say. I just want to...
Where is he?
The shrill voice of the egghead cuts through the backdrop of screams.
Where is the spy? I will find him, with or without your help. For 100 semesters I have read every scientific tome that I could get my nimble hands on. My eyes are powerful beyond belief. No one can dodge the gaze of the professor.
I need help, I say. I need a place to hide. The round-headed beast watches me in fascination.
Traveler,
it says, its sideways lips growing wet once more.
without a doubt, you are an intelligent man. I suspect you are smart enough to know that on this journey through life, nothing comes for free.
Perhaps the spy is hiding in the affluent home. Perhaps he thinks that mighty walls will protect him, but they will not. I am a man of unparalleled intelligence, but I have the strength of 10 oxen. I will find the spy. I will find the spy because no one can escape the company of Professor Egghead.
The thuds on the mansion door overpower the screams outside. There isn't much time left before the egghead comes to claim me. Please, I beg. I'll give you anything you want, just hide me. Here, you can have this jacket. The zip on the Arctic coat is melted. I rip at the clothing and struggle to remove it, but the sphinx shakes its massive head from side to side.
There is nothing I can do with this jacket, traveler. I have no use for clothing or any other worldly goods. I only care for one commodity, and it is a commodity of the ethereal. You know this, traveler. I only deal in riddles.
The dull thumps against the mansion door turn to the sound of splintered wood. Independent of thought, my mouth opens and recites, I crawl upon the iron. I will not stop crawling until I reach the hole. What am I? The head of the beast turns at such a steep angle that its lips seem almost human.
I do not know the answer, traveler,
the sphinx says, smiling a smile of dripping spit.
What is the answer to this mysterious riddle?
Behind me, in the pitch darkness, cracks of splintered wood start to let in a dim neon glow. I'll tell you the answer, I say. I'll tell you the answer if you hide me from the egghead. I promise. I do not know the answer to the riddle, and I fear that the quiver in my voice may make that fact obvious, but the sphinx nods amicably.
Very well,
it says, lowering its head.
You are in my debt, traveler, and I expect that debt to be repaid.
The lips of the creature's incomprehensible maw spread out wide enough to crawl through. The tunnel of flesh is wet and reeks of sickness, but the sound of the crumbling door leaves me no space for second thoughts. On all fours, I crawl into the sex sphinx's putrid gullet. The tunnel of flesh is unbearably hot. I attempt to remove my jacket again, but all I manage to do is rip off the zip. Struggling to breathe through the noxious fumes of infected skin, I keep crawling. The final shadow of the door is a far-off crack in the distance, but when the sphinx speaks, the passage that I travel through vibrates.
Oh, brave traveler, have you come here in search of never-yielding pleasure? I am happy to provide you with it. All you need to answer is my riddles free and...
I am not a traveler. I am a scientist. I spit at your riddles from the deepest depths of my phlegm-filled throat. My place is in the laboratory, not answering children's brain teasers.
The tunnel of flesh grows tighter. I no longer move through the slime like a toddler. I crawl on my stomach like a grievously injured soldier.
Dear traveler,
the sphinx booms.
You are not in your own dominion. This realm is my home, and in my home you are but a guest. Now answer my riddles free, or...
I do not recognize your claim. I recognize no claim of land or realm. I am Professor Egghead, the greatest inventor to exist in the mind of man. You will not order me around like some crippled hound. I demand the respect I am entitled to. Aid me in my search for the future.
The gullet of the creature is no longer passable. I am fully consumed by the warm muscle of the fleshy tunnel. In the wet darkness, my hands find a slit of hardened skin. As the sphinx speaks, the flap of skin rises and clamps shut. In blind instinct, I grip the edge of the slit and pull myself through.
Traveler, this is not a place of
Lubricated by the foul-smelling mucus of the sphinx, I drop into a chamber of ribs. The hum of the sphinx's voice vibrates through its belly, but I am deaf to its words. All my mind can focus on is the familiar yellow glow in the distance. Gently off balance, stuck in the flesh of the incomprehensible sex beast, sits a phone booth. I can hear the professor scream outside. I can feel the sphinx shifting off balance, but none of it matters. All that matters is escape. Like a wild animal running from a predator, I dash towards the metal structure. When I finally enter the booth, when I hold the receiver in my hand, I see a quartet of burning red coals behind me. The Egghead's assistants, they know where I am. They can see me. But they do not see me for long. The moment I press the receiver to my ear, reality is stripped of all color and shape. My cartoon body is rocketed out of the realm of sex and mucus and transported elsewhere. When I finally come to, I find myself lying on the floor of a familiar hallway. I'm back in the virtual office where my boss once forced me to attend a birthday party filled with tech journalists. Simon is standing above me.
Thank God,
He says.
you made it.